So I have an image on the screen, and it's trains and cargo trailers. And basically, couplers are used to interlock and connect one railroad car to another. Many cars can be joined together to form a train because they are couplers on both ends of the car. So I don't know if any of you have ever had a little train set, but the front and back of the train set have these little things called couplers, and they just slide into each other and connect the two. That's how real trains are too. So a polymer is a large molecule that forms when many small molecules are linked together by covalent bonds. The smaller molecules that are joined to form polymer they're called monomers, right? Some polymers, there's only one type of monomer. Other monomers have two or more kinds of monomers. So we're talking about a molecular structure that gets chained together in a sequence to make a long molecular structure. And that title we give the long ones are polymers. So what is one way to classify the polymers? Well, polymers can be classified as either natural polymers or synthetic. Natural means that they just occur in nature. We have them in our bodies. They're in food and stuff like that. And then synthetic is something that human beings make, and we'll talk about both today. Many important types of biological molecules are natural polymers. Organisms produce these polymers in their cells. Synthetic polymers are developed by chemists in research laboratories and manufactured in factories. Both types of polymers have industrial uses. Silk and cotton fabrics are woven from natural polymer fibers, while a polar fleece might be made from a synthetic polymer. So what are three examples of synthetic polymers? Well, rubber, nylon, polyethylene. Those are three synthesized manufactured polymers. Those are made in a lab. Rubber is made because they take sap collected from rubber trees in tropical regions, and it contains the rubber. Then chemists produce synthetic rubber using hydrocarbons from petroleum. Natural rubber and synthetic rubbers contain different monomers and have different properties. So they make better, stronger, cheaper rubber by manufacturing it or synthesizing it. Nylon, this is what nylon ropes are made out of. Research to make artificial silk led to nylon. So which has properties not found in natural polymers? Nylon fibers are very strong, durable, and shiny. Nylon is used in parachutes, windbreakers, fishing lines, carpets, ropes. So a windbreaker, like somebody wears a jumpsuit, that's made out of nylon, usually a nylon jacket. Parachutes are made out of nylon because of the strength. So it's a thin, lightweight fiber that's very strong. Polyethylene forms when ethene molecules link head to tail. Now, the number of carbon atoms in polyethylene chain affects the properties of the polymer. The more carbons you have in the chain, the harder the polymer is. So here's ethene, 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 and when you link them all together like this, you create a chain or a polymer. Rubber is used to manufacture tires. Nylon is used to make this rope. And polyethylene is actually a plastic. Mr. Potato Head is made out of polyethylene. It's a type of plastic. So it's a hard plastic. By the way, plastic was inspired a lot by, it started off as like a soy-based, all of these are based on human beings trying to recreate natural polymers. So there's real natural rubber in the environment, the sap from a rubber tree. People tried to make and manufacture it or synthesize it. You get this type, what they make tires out of. Nylon was a human's attempt to make silk, which is a natural polymer. And then plastic, they tried to do some stuff with soybeans and make some things, and then they derived plastic, which was a hard, durable substance. Okay. So anyways, back to the thing. What are four types of polymers that organisms can produce? Well, the four types of polymers produced by plant and animal cells are starches, cellulose, nucleic acids, and proteins. So these are things that living organisms on Earth produce. Starches are really complex sugars. So simple sugars, such as C6H12O6, they can exist in straight chains or rings. Fructose and glucose form sucrose, which is like table sugar. Glucose monomers join to form starches as shown. So the difference between a complex carbohydrate and a simple sugar is the length of the chain, so to speak. So this is just regular glucose, and this is a starch that's found in plants. By the way, when you eat things like Splenda, it's just a complex sugar that tastes sweet, but your body can't break down. Stevia is the same thing. It's just something that your body doesn't naturally break down into simple sugars. It's kind of hard for it to do. But that's why they taste sweet. Simple sugars, slightly more complex sugars from sucrose, and polymers built from sugars, sugar monomers are classified as carbohydrates. Okay. Typically, a starch contains hundreds of glucose monomers. Plants store starches for food and build stems and seeds and roots. By the way, we've probably knocked out half of that reading guide so far. All foods shown contain a starch. So everything here is a starch. So you know people that do the keto diet and they say, I'm watching my carbs. They're talking about carbohydrates, which are complex sugars. The reason people avoid carbs is for a number of reasons, but basically you go into a fat burning stage if your body doesn't have enough sugar in its body. And so if you don't eat carbs and you don't eat simple sugars, your body will actually break down the fat in your body. Fat is our way of storing energy, and when we don't have sugar, your body will break down the fat in your body to provide that energy. So all these things here are simple sugars or starches, which is a starch is a long chain of simple sugars. Cellulose, I can't say that word today. Cellulose is the main component in cotton and wood. Cellulose molecules contain 3,000 or more glucose monomers. So you got a chain of 3,000 molecules of glucose, which is that C6H12O6. Cellulose gives strength to plant stems and tree trunks. When you bite into a vegetable and it's a little crunchy, sometimes that's due to the starch and the cellulose. Nucleic acids, you guys are probably familiar with this one. Nucleic acids are large nitrogen-containing polymers found mainly in the nuclei of cells. There are two types of nucleic acids, deoxyribose nucleic acid, which you guys refer to as DNA, and ribonucleic acid, which is RNA. Nucleic acids in each cell of a plant or animal store information about its structure and functions. Now, we're not going to dive into a huge biology lesson, but your DNA synthesizes all the proteins that your body needs. Okay? Monomers in a nucleic acid are nucleotides. DNA nucleotide has three parts: a phosphate group, a deoxyribose sugar, and an organic base. When the two strands of DNA line up, pairs of bases are arranged like rungs on a ladder. The strands in DNA are held together by a strong intermolecular attraction between the hydrogen atoms of one strand and the nitrogen or oxygen atoms of the other strand. The strand twists around each other to form what we call a double helix. So it's like a twisted ladder. In order for the base pairs in the strand, the order of the base pairs in the strand is a code that stores information that's used to produce protein. Now, basically what happens is your DNA is like a zipper. It unzips. Nucleotides come in and they fill in, and certain parts of your DNA unzips, fills in with 1/2 of some sort of protein. Then that protein leaves the DNA strand. The DNA strand zips back up. I'm oversimplifying it. That single strand that's formed is called RNA. right? And then that completes the protein synthesis. So basically, this is what happens. These are natural polymers. This yellow part is the phosphate part. The green part is the deoxyribose sugar, and then there are these the acid part, right? So these are the four. You in your biology classes, you'll see these as A, T, C, and G. Here is the double helix that they're talking about. If you were to flatten out that double helix, it would look like this. And what happens is this unzips certain parts of it. To make a protein, it might go from here to here. That part will unzip. Fill in the other part. That part will leave. The DNA zips back up. And what's left is 1/2 of a strand of an amino acid, or an arrangement of amino acids that makes a protein. Anyways, proteins are organic acids that contain the COOH group, and the organic bases contains the NH2 group, when we talked about those yesterday. An amino acid is a compound that contains both carboxyl, I can't talk today, and the amino functional groups in the same molecule. So here's an example. There are about 20 amino acids in your body that you need to function. They include these two substances, these two molecular chains. Your cells use amino acids as the monomers for constructing protein polymers. A protein is a polymer that has at least 100 amino acid monomers that are linked through bonds between the amino group and the carboxyl group. The instructions of making proteins are stored in your DNA. The DNA code unzips at different parts. That literally has the structure for the protein synthesis. Your body may contain as many as 300,000 different proteins. These foods are good in protein. So meat, basically. Meat and eggs, fish, legumes. So just to recap real quick, a synthetic polymer can be formed into a strong fiber suitable for making cloth and rope. Anybody remember which that one was? Nylon. A strong natural fiber, cellulose, is a polymer made of long chains of what type of molecule? Sugars. A large molecule that forms when many small molecules are linked together by covalent bonds is a monomer. No, false. It's a polymer. Right? Monomer is the little link. Think of Legos. One Lego is a monomer. The thing that you make is the polymer. And that's it. That's all I got. Any questions?